Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Overlord, aka Papa Bones Adventures, Season 4. Adventures indeed, although it seems like we have the adventure arc mostly behind us. We still might have another adventure arc ahead of us, but we are done with the dwarfs, which was the adventure. We're done with the fight in the Colosseum. Now it's time for some intrigue. And we do have quite a bit of an intrigue. Because someone from the Riestes kingdom, we know who it was, attacked the cart that Nazarick, or rather the Sorcerer Kingdom, was using to gift food to. And I heard there is some error in the translation. Like the Nazarick is sending that food to the Holy Kingdom, which is different from the Slain Theocracy, and the subs are apparently using those two interchangeably, so there's gonna be some confusion. Forgive me for that, not my fault. But yeah, Nazarick is sending food to the Holy Kingdom, whatever that Holy Kingdom might be. So, of course, having the convoy attacked and having the flag of the Sorcerer Kingdom trampled, not great. Not great to the degree where Albedo herself went for an audience with the king, and the king offered his head. Which seems like a fairly stupid decision, if I'm to be perfectly honest with you. Like, just give them the noble. I'm 100% with Zanak here. Doesn't matter if that noble is at fault or isn't at fault or what the fuck his deal was. His head is probably worth a little bit less than the head of a king. So maybe let's not jump ahead. Let's not jump the shark, right? And just proper trial. You don't have to just kill that noble and send the head in a box to the Sorcerer Kingdom. Now that Albedo is here, hold a trial, right? There's some evidence. Does the evidence check out? Does it not check out? Have Albedo use mind control magic to get the truth out of him? Things like that. And things will be solved, right? The one at fault will lose his head, and the king will remain the king. And we're gonna have that carrot and a stick, although on a more local, range. Because people of the kingdom will know that, hey, if we do good by Sorcerer Kingdom, they're gonna do good by us. If we attack Sorcerer Kingdom, we're probably gonna lose our heads, so let's not do that. Although the plan seems to be to do the carrot and the stick on a more global scale, which means the Baharut Empire is doing good by the Sorcerer Kingdom, so the Baharut Empire is gonna get the attention, it's gonna get the carrot. And the Riestes Kingdom is not doing right by the Sorcerer Kingdom, so it's gonna get the stick. And now the ball is gonna be in the court of other countries, of Slain Theocracy, of the Holy Kingdom, of... Are there any other, countries around? Not counting demi-human and inhuman countries? I'm not sure, I don't think so. But yeah, they're gonna be able to make the decision. Do we want a carrot? Do we want a stick? That's the plan. At least, it seems so. What will become of that plan? Well, that remains to be seen, of course. And we are starting just where we ended up, with the king on the throne. Probably a little bit of like last time in Dragon Ball Z or whatever. And then we're gonna get to the king's offering, and what will Albedo say to that? I wonder, does Nazarick, I'm just gonna call them Nazarick, I don't wanna constantly use the Sorcerer Kingdom. Nazarick, they're Nazarick. That's the name of their faction, Nazarick. And does the Nazarick want the king alive, or is the king offering his head very much something that they would appreciate, that they would like, that would advance their plans. Which could be the case, or it could not be the case. If the king dies, the crown goes to Prince Zanak, and on one hand, Prince Zanak might be an asset because he understands things. He understands that they cannot even hope to fight the Sorcerer Kingdom. On the other, he's crafty. He's smart. He's maybe not wise, but he's intelligent. So he might become a pain point, a little bit of a prickle in their ass that just stings them every now and then. It's better to have a completely dumb or a completely insane person in charge because they're simply much easier to control. The king seems to fulfill both roles nowadays, so he might make for a decent puppet ruler. But yeah, I don't know what the plans are exactly besides the overarching idea of a carrot and a stick. We'll see what happens. Another thing that happened in the previous episode was, of course, Hilma and her unending newfound devotion for Papa Ainz because he treated her well, and now she's a devoted believer, devoted follower of Papa Bones. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more to say. You guys gave me some additional context in the comments. I probably already forgot half of that, but thank you for giving me context and not spoiling things. That's really cool and really, I don't know, really unseen to get additional context and not get spoiled. That's amazing job you're doing. Honestly, I don't think I've seen a single spoiler for Overlord, even though you're writing paragraphs and essays that expand on the universe, which is completely bonkers to me. Okay, right. Let's watch it. Here's your subs so we can follow along. Here's my sound because I'm gonna have to hear what's going on, and I'm asking for your support on Patreon Throne monetarily if you want to get early access to non-seasonals, for example, or if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, share my content, spread the word of mouth really matters a lot for the growth of a channel. And with all that out of the way, we can finally start watching episode 9 of Overlord Season 4 in 3, 2, 1, go. Episode 9, of course. And I'm having matcha today. Yeah, last time on Dragon Ball Z. Opening? Opening. Okay. Last time I had homemade matcha. I bought the powder and made it myself instead of buying it in a bottle or whatever. It was good, but now I think I'm closer to it being maybe not perfect, but perfect for my tastes. A little bit more lemon, a little bit less sugar, a little bit more matcha. Last time I made it, I definitely used too little matcha powder. Kind of hard to get the proportion right, honestly. Especially since I was observing how matcha is made on that convention I was at. There are photos on my Discord if you want. They were using that weird bamboo hook to get the powder, and I remembered, hey, 2 hooks of powder. Problem is, I just have teaspoons. I don't have no fancy bamboo hooks. But I think I got it right. Has a nice color, has a nice opacity. Yeah, shocking in it. Ooh, the ice! The ice! Yeah. Okay, Albedo sees through him, right? Like an open book. Okay! Okay! I did not expect that! I did not expect that! And you're dead. Or maybe not yet. He still has a month to live. Okay! We're doing it nice and slow. Nice and slow. Full bottle of lube. Last thing I expected is them to actually, like, declare full on war. They don't need to. It's just a snap of their fingers and an army appears out of thin air. Hard to call it a one-on-one, really. Yeah. Okay, the Holy Treasure, or whatever it's called. Yeah, the treasure. The weapon that could scratch Ainz. In the right hands, used in the correct way. Yeah, it has to reach. That's the problem. Yeah, that's honestly the best option you have. Council state, huh? Honestly, they should all just bail. Okay, time skip. Cool. Time to attack, I guess. Okay, so there was some movement of the armies. Okay, defectors. That's cool. And that's a cool shot. The kingdom doesn't have that many allies, though, do they? It's not like it's really necessary to cut them off. Cut them off from whom? I mean, there isn't any issues to be had, honestly. There's nobody that could give you issues. Sans maybe Evil Eye, if that. Right, if there are no mistakes, how can you learn how to avoid them? That's a good plan. Yeah. Yes, precisely. Should such a time come. Oh, Ainz himself. 3 books at once. Damn, Cocutus. That's all a part of the plan. You just don't understand the plan yet. Of course. Of course. NIL. Cool, sure. Yeah, he has no clue what to do. Frozen prison. Sebas! Okay, are we gonna meet Nigredo, finally? Why was she banned from leaving Nazarick, though? Is she so, like, important for the functioning of Nazarick, or... Suspension, why? Mary? And little Jesus? That's an interesting imagery. We've seen a lot of, like, Norse mythology, even some Greek and Roman. We haven't really seen any Christian mythology in Overlord yet. Those are scissors, bloody scissors. I like her voice. What face? There ain't no face here. Hmm. Right, she's one of the like good aligned guardians, along with Pestonia. She's not wrong. Surprising to see a perspective like this in Nazarick. And it just fell out. Yeah. How about you just don't stagnate then? That's also an option. Estonia. Hmm. True. True. If you kill everybody, there's nobody to spread the word about the massacre. They wouldn't reject it, they simply don't know your plan. Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Right. That's the best way to deal with any issues. My future self is gonna take care of it. What an idyllic little town. And that's the like Valkyrie girl that fought against Cocytus in the opening. Death Knights, indeed. For armaments, another group of adventurers. Blue Rose for armaments. I mean, who says it's impossible? Just wave the white flag and you might just about survive. Zero? Probably, yeah. Or at least a great majority of them. Nice assortment of adventurers. Okay, she likes magic items. Five-colored holy sword. I guess she has a fandom. I guess you don't mind that particularly much. She knows the names of every Shota in 100-kilometer radius. Of course, that's your only reason. She's a Shotacon. I guess she lost a few members of the fandom now. Cue everybody getting wiped out. Then again, it is just zombies and Death Knights. Death Knight and I guess like Death Berserker or something. Holy. I mean, they're undead, so of course they're gonna be weak to holy attacks. Props for making the archers not shoot in sync. And there go your gates. Yeah, not quite enough, I'm afraid. Nope, not at all. Sure, sure. Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that it works. Hardly. They're just grunts. And there go the gates. And she has an axe, which is cool. You don't often see like knights using axes. It's usually either a sword or sword and board. Okay, so I like that it seems to be their modus operandi. Everybody buffs the knight, and the knight drops in and massacres enemies. It's probably at like 90% HP by now. Doppel, okay. Double strike, essentially. That's cool. That's cool. We haven't seen magic like that quite yet. We've seen like mirage swords that the dude who fought Climb had. Hid his arm and sword and created a new one. But we haven't seen like actual duplicated weapon. Goop. Oh, he must be a thief because we've seen a thief use goop before. And it's just as resistant to magic as the Death Knight is. And of course, you can free yourself from the goop, just rip out part of the road. We haven't seen a dual wielding Death Knight yet. Yeah, you've been volunteered to die. A gun? Is that the Gundam that we've seen in the OP that Shaltir fought? Two shots? Okay. That's hella powerful. Gundam! That's just a Gundam! That's just. What the fuck is going on? Yeah, my question exactly. Who the fuck? Team Rocket blasted him up again. Of course! Sasuga Ainz-sama! All according to Keikaku. Who's the fucking Gundam, though? Like, Nazarick. Nazarick has guns, right? CZ she herself is an android and she uses a gun. But a Gundam with a gun? We haven't seen any semblance of anything even reminiscent of a flintlock pistol. Either it has to be a couple of relics, the armor being a relic and the gun being a relic, left after the great heavenly heroes or whatever that were here 200 years ago, who are assumed to be players. Or there is a much more advanced civilization somewhere beyond what we know of the world. Hmm. Hmm. I guess we don't really have anything more to like do than just go through this episode again. Shall we? I've got nothing on that Gundam. I've got absolutely nothing. When we go through the OP, I'm gonna take a look at it, but I don't think I'm gonna glimpse anything new from there. Yeah, last time on Dragon Ball Z. Ainz leading the armies. Yeah, that's her. Oh no, she's not fighting Akutus. She's just fighting the Death Knight. Death Knight is dead now, so I'm guessing we're not actually gonna see this scene in the episode proper. And then it's Albedo fighting the Gundam, not Shaltir. My mistake. But yeah, it's just a Gundam. And it's Brain fighting Cocytus. And Shaltir is, I think, fighting the Dragon Lord Dude. No, the Dragon Lord Dude is... We're all fighting. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not gonna get anything new out of this scene. It's a Gundam. Just as much as it was a Gundam, it's still a fucking Gundam. Except here it's drawn and in the episode it was CG. Now it kind of feels weird having to go through this episode towards that ending because everything feels like filler. Countdown to extinction indeed seems to be the case. Yeah, gloves are off. When she gives you this look, run. Or don't. Even if you run, you're just gonna die. It's not gonna change things. You never would have made a choice like that in the past. Yeah, could be either. Could be because Stroganov isn't here, that Ramposa went just a little bit mad, just a little bit how should I say it? Just a little bit like disillusioned, right? He knows that shit's fucked, yo. Or it could be because indeed Zanak and Renner are, as she says, excellent, and they have excellent talents. So Ramposa has like no qualms giving up his life for the sake of the kingdom, because he knows that even if he's dead, there are worthy successors. He doesn't have to worry about the future of the kingdom. So when he's looking at just the big picture, not at just his own skin, it's more beneficial to give up my own head and have my children rule if that means the kingdom gets to survive. His decision suddenly makes sense. Not as much sense as just giving up the noble would, but it makes sense why Ramposa is not afraid of dying, he's not afraid of giving up his life, because he has worthy successors. Makes sense. Sorcerer Kingdom declares war on the Riestes Kingdom. Honestly, didn't expect that. Like, honestly, genuinely. I mean, I expected something of the sort, right? Give up bordering villages, give up some territory, select 1,000 random citizens that will be executed. You know, something like that, something to instill fear and despair in them, but not quite wipe them out. After all, Ainz had a whole spiel, not once, not twice, many times, about it not being fun ruling over a dead country. When there are no people in the Riestes kingdom, when all the villages are razed and all the buildings in ruins, there's nothing to rule over. You can hardly call it an expansion of your territory. You're like in the negative, right? Because if you conquer a country and there are people there and there are buildings and there are infrastructure, you not only get the land, you also get the people, you also get the buildings, you also get the infrastructure. If you just glass everything, then you capture a piece of glass without any worth whatsoever. Right? Which honestly makes the decision of decimating the like border villages, border town kind of weird to me, kind of odd. Like, it's on brand. Don't get me wrong, right? It's on brand. It's Nazarick. It's the undead. It's the evil people. So of course it makes sense that they would choose to just decimate inferior, lowly humans. But doesn't make much sense, like from I don't know Ainz's perspective. Ainz is a little bit more open-minded than the other guardians, and now he has the excuse of, oh, you just don't know my plans, right? The effects of my plan are gonna happen 9,831 years into the future. You just can't see that outcome yet, right? He has a very easy, very free to use excuse. And yet he's not doing that, which is interesting. Exactly 1 month from today at noon. The only exception is if your kingdom invades Irantel. Right. Which is a part of our kingdom before that date. Okay, so we're gonna wait a month and then invade. Unless you invade us, then we're just gonna give ourselves go ahead and we're gonna wipe you out early. I didn't quite get it the first time because I was like, is she like trying to pit the kingdom against some kingdom of Irantel, right? Like, we're gonna attack you unless you attack your neighbor. But no, Irantel is the city, the capital of the Sorcerer Kingdom. So yeah, it's essentially we're gonna attack you a month from now. Unless you attack us earlier, then I guess get fucked early. I have a message from His Majesty. Honestly surprised this noble survived. Honest. I expected his head to fall. I expected him to be petrified, like literally turned to stone by her gaze. I expected him to just get a heart attack. I expected his head to explode. I expected his eyes to start bleeding. You know, I expected something, not just getting scared a little. I guess Albedo mellowed out a little. I do not intend to cast any large spells this time. Let's enjoy ourselves. Yeah, that's probably like the worst outcome. It's not a fast death. It's not a abracadabra glass spell that just drops a nuke on the capital and everything's done. Everybody in the 100-kilometer radius gets vaporized. It's a slow way. is the proper war with soldiers, with troops moving out, and the fact that Ainz is just using zombies with just a couple of Death Knights or a Death Knight and a Death something, the dual wielding one, really shows that he does intend to take it slow. Because he could have sent a Guardian, he could have sent, I don't know, Elder Lich, he could have sent any of the higher tier undead, he could have sent like Jack the Ripper or 6 Death Knights, and that would be enough to wipe out maybe even like half the country, honestly. Those are powerful creatures, and the Riestis Kingdom isn't particularly strong. They have some strong adventurers, but there's a limit to how fast they can travel. And they don't have that many of the strong adventurers. We know of the Blue Rose, we know of this new group now. Are there any other groups? Perhaps. I mean, we can assume there's like, I don't know, let's say 3 other groups for a total of 5 groups that could actually stand up to a Death Knight. They could stand up to a Death Knight, but not to 5 of them, right? So yeah, Ainz really does intend to take it slowly. This matter came as a surprise to us as well. Indeed, we're the ones who want to know what in the world your kingdom was thinking. Sorcerer Kingdom gave us 1 month to prepare for war. They haven't shown any sign of mobilizing their troops. One, they don't need to mobilize their troops. They're just literally getting raised out of thin air. 2, even if they do have to mobilize some groups, as we heard, Demiurge can just hide their movements, no problem. Yeah, empty threats is not something that Ainz does. Master Stronov's beloved blade and one of the treasures of the kingdom, Razor Edge. Indeed, it is something that can hurt Ainz. We know that from Ainz's duel with Stroganov. When Stroganov showed Ainz this blade, Ainz appraised it and said, okay, yeah, you can actually hurt me with that, so it's a fair duel. Except the sword never reached Ainz. Would what's his face? Would I forgot what his name is. Does anybody mention it? Brain Anglaus. I completely blanked out on that. Thing is, will Brain be able to reach Ainz? Probably not. Probably not. But Brain has a little bit more brain and a little less loyalty. So something tells me that if push comes to shove, Brain would be like pleading. Brain would be the one who wouldn't just like raise up with his honor and, oh no, I will never join you, foul creature, kill me now. No, Brain would actually try to survive. He very much strikes me as that kind of person, especially if all those kids and all the people from the dojo are also involved. He'd try to like get them all to join the Sorcerer Kingdom. We always wanted to join you, ainz-sama, right? That kind of a deal. Perhaps, perhaps not. I don't know. But he's smart enough to get the kids out of here, at least. Towards a city near the council state. What the fuck is a council state? Is it a country or city state that we haven't heard of? Probably. Sounds like one. Would you allow us to send one of ours with your children? Okay, I guess he was intending to just send children alone. But yeah, it makes sense that they would get at least one person to protect them. It's been a month. And yeah, some of the nobles are defecting. So, even during war, even shortly before war, during war. The war has been declared. It's simply the battles haven't started yet. So even during wartime, if you defect, if you decide, yo, Papa Bones, I wanna join your team, Papa Bones is gonna allow you to join his team. What benevolence, right? The carrot. Prevent other countries from helping from involving themselves by shutting down the kingdom's borders before they even notice. Does the Riestes kingdom have particularly many borders? Like, I was always under the impression that it's Riestes, Baharut Empire, the Holy Kingdom, and Slain Theocracy, like 4 kingdoms. And that's it. That's all there is on the continent. But apparently there are more. Can I mean, yeah, I can. It would be super weird if I couldn't. Um, Overlord map. I want to check out really quick what other countries are there. Of course, someone on Reddit made the map of the new world. Where else? Okay, I see that. Riestes Kingdom. Okay, so that's where Nazarick is. Actually, I'm probably just gonna show it so that you know what I'm looking at. Display capture. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that's the map I found. That's the Holy Kingdom. That's the Riestes. That's the Nazarick. Dwarf Kingdom, Council State, Baharut Empire, City-State Alliance, Slain Theocracy. Okay, so that's how it looks. Interesting, I thought the Dwarf Kingdom is much further beyond. Interesting that there would be a country of non-humans, like right smack dab in the middle of 2 countries of humans. Riestes Nazarick. How does it look compared to this map? That's shown there in the episode. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, okay, it checks out. It does check out. Indeed. So here's Nazarick, here's the Riestes. This is, I'm assuming, the old cap. Is it the old capital? I mean, old capital. I mean, is it Irantel? Or is Irantel where Nazarick is pointing at? I don't know. In any case, okay, Riestes Kingdom has Argland Council State. That might interfere. Demi-human tribes, I doubt they're gonna help. Dark Dwarf Country, highly doubt they're gonna help. Slain Theocracy, maybe. Baharut Empire, no. Dwarf Kingdom, no. So they only really need to cut off the Argland Council State and the Slain Theocracy. And that's all they need to do. Interesting that the Holy Kingdom is past demi-human tribes. Yeah, that's interesting. In general, it's interesting how many non-human countries are intertwined with human countries. I always thought that it's human countries in like one place on the continent, and then the rest is just inhuman countries. We don't even know exactly who they are because we cut ourselves off from them. But no, Riestes and Slain Theocracy borders with Dark Dwarf Country. Slain borders with Dark Elves, Elf Kingdom, Riventu Flying City, whatever the fuck that is. Baharut Empire borders with Wyvern Rider tribes, City-State Alliance, Great Minotaur Nation. There's Draconic Kingdom, Beastman Country, Troll Kingdom. Robel and Riestes borders with demi-human tribes. Yeah, that's interesting seeing this map. That's not at all how I thought it looks. Not whatsoever. And I guess, yeah, those are the skirmishes. And the the cities that Ainz is eradicating that are bordering with the dwarf kingdom. Why? There is no need. The dwarves aren't going to help Riestes. I don't know. It's Ain's plan. It's probably 10,000 years into the future. There were no problems at all. Yeah, that's an issue. You can get like drunk on success, and that's no bueno. If there are no challenges whatsoever, how are you gonna grow? You're not gonna. You need to fail to learn. I believe that we can learn a lot from suffering setbacks, but there aren't any. That's the problem. Where strength, it may not be difficult to annihilate a few cities and massacre their people. Not whatsoever. No issue at all. And that's an issue in itself. There's nobody threatening you. Nobody you can actually like learn from. Cocytus learned a little bit about like managing troops and strategy from his defeat against the lizard men. But when it comes to like fighting combat, there isn't anybody, right? Like there isn't anybody in this new world that I don't know Albedo could spar with on like equal level that Albedo could learn some new moves from. That's a problem. And yeah, I'll be assigning a greater variety of tasks to all floor guardians. That makes sense. That's been Ainz's plans throughout this season and seasons past, right? Cocytus was tasked with managing the lizardmen for a reason. The whole shtick with Shaltir in the Dwarven Kingdom, that was also for her growth. I'm wondering what does Ainz have in store for Demiurge, for Ora, for Mare, for Arbedo. I guess Arbedo's mission in the Riestes Kingdom is kind of like a growth attempt, right? Try to like deal with people, don't immediately annihilate them, talk with them, like seep some sweet words to get them on your side. Maybe. I'm not sure how much of that was genuinely Ainz's plan, how much of it was Albedo's own incentive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's one of the last areas. Battle like some military force, humans escaped. Yeah, escaped because of Nigredo and Pestonia, essentially. Ainz Ooal, easy to destroy indeed. And that's a flashback. I thought it's like chronologically, but no, it's a flashback to what happened. Fifth floor, frozen prison. Nigredo and Pestonia wanna meet. Should I have brought Albedo? I don't know. Albedo was really angry about her suspension. Why was Nigredo suspended? Why is Nigredo like not allowed to leave Nazarick? I'm assuming because of her good-natured disposition, because she's maybe not lawful good, but like neutral good. Maybe, I don't know, chaotic good. Probably not. Neutral good or lawful good at most. So she probably opposed some of the plans that Ainz had, and for her insolence she was punished or something like that. I don't know, I'm not sure. There was a huge chunk of a time skip, and of course there are other bits and pieces missing from this adaptation because, I mean, adaptation, right? Adaptations have their rights. This is an image of Mother Mary and a tiny little Jesus baby. Except Jesus has no face. Like, Nigredo doesn't have a face. Nigredo is Jesus confirmed? Oh. I love her scissors, I love her hair, I love her dress, I love her voice. I love Nigredo. Just put a paper bag on her face and it's all good. Although the bloodied scissors and the fact that Nigredo is holding her head down kinda makes me think that maybe she removed her own face as penance. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's like genuinely the way she was made. I'm not sure though. I'm genuinely not sure. And yeah, she wants to stop the massacre. And yeah, you should follow chain of command. You shouldn't just come directly to me. But Pestonia backs Nigredo up. All babies have potential. And yeah, weird that Nigredo is only talking about babies and infants, and Pestonia about all humans. I guess Nigredo really likes children, in whatever sense. Humans are innovators that continue to birth new things. Indeed, they hold the power to advance civilization in new ways. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. That's one of the great powers of humanity. And it's kind of very well visible in many fantasy worlds. In general, I was on a very cool like prelection or whatever you call it during this convention where they were talking about how magic prevents worlds from growing. Essentially, if you have a instant teleportation spell, you're not gonna think of rail of trains. If you have a light bulb spell, you're not gonna figure out how to make a light bulb. That kind of thing. And it's kind of visible in many fantasy worlds where humans are like a new race, very young race, and they're already building cities, they're having industry, they're building ships and whatnot. Meanwhile, you have elves or dwarves or orcs or any other race that who are living in the trees as they have been for the last 30,000 years. They're still fighting with swords as they have been for the past 30,000 years, and nothing changes. Humanity innovates. Humanity is very fast, humanity is very quick. The progression and the change is very quick in humanity because of their short lifespans. Usually, that's the reason in many fantasy worlds. So Nigredo is of course correct here, because it is a fantasy world, and we see that this. Although, do we see that this is how it is? Have we seen any actual innovations that humans created? We haven't seen like a steam engine or anything like that. They very much seem to be stagnating. Baharut Empire is like evolving in civil ways, right? They're evolving the law, they're evolving the army, they're not conscripts, they're professional army, stuff like that. So they are evolving, they are changing indeed. I love this detail that Ainz bites into the cookie and it just falls down through his jaw. Because of course it does, because he's a fucking skeleton. Tiny little detail. I feel that the progress of civilization is dangerous. The powerful stagnate while the weak get stronger. Well, that's too bad for the powerful then. That they have elected to stagnate. Stagnation is a state that you choose to be in. If you choose to keep getting stronger, if you choose to innovate, you won't stagnate. Sure, the weak are getting stronger, so keep up with them. That's also motivation. So I get what Ainz means here, but at the same time I don't get his maybe not motivation, I don't get his explanation, I guess, in a sense. We have to avoid any possibility of humans overthrowing us. Again, don't allow for that to happen. Have spies, have insiders. Oh, humans discovered some new super dangerous metal that's stronger than orichalcum and mithril combined. Well, we better try searching for that metal as well. We better try creating some not amalgams, but like some combinations of multiple metals. Maybe when this new metal is in 2-to-1 proportion with Mithril, it creates something even better, right? We should try to outdo the humans. Whenever the humans discover something, we should outdo them. Humans discovered new magic? Well, send someone to also learn that magic and bring the knowledge here, create spells, create scrolls, try to improve on it. It can be done, but for some reason Ainz doesn't want it to be done. Maybe not doesn't want it to be done, but doesn't see that possibility, which is kind of weird to me. It's weird that he doesn't even take that possibility as a possibility. Carrot and stick. I heard that this plan shows how different we treat. Yeah. Would Pestonia make sense? Absolutely. Wouldn't people who manage to survive by the skin of their teeth better spread the horrors they've experienced? Indeed, survive as witnesses. I mean, genuinely, if you wipe out the entire country and leave no witnesses, who's gonna tell other countries about the stick? There's gonna be nobody, right? So everybody will assume that, oh, it might have been just some instant death spell or something. They wouldn't know of the struggles, they wouldn't know of the horrors of seeing a horde of zombies and death knights approaching you. So let some of them survive. Pestonia makes sense. Albert and the others would definitely reject something like that. Would they? Would they, though? I mean, I know that Ainz is very cautious, especially when it comes to the Guardians, because the Guardians are the only beings in this world that can actually threaten him. So he tries not to get on the Guardians' bad side. But he has the genius excuse of, I'm looking 10,000 years into the future, right? He can use that excuse. A little different races with diverse ways of thinking will be joining the Sorcerer Kingdom. And yeah, this way of thinking is a minority in Nazarick. That's the reason to value such opinions. Ainz, at least, values like dissenting opinions. We've established as much when he was talking with Ainzak in the carriage. We've established as much when he was talking with. Who else was he talking with that disagreed with Ainz? Yeah, I can't remember, but there were a couple of situations like that, and Ainz very much appreciated it. Ainz very much appreciated the input. And yeah, the fact that Pestonia and Nigredo are misaligned with the like alignment chart, general alignment chart of Nazarick, is their strength, not their weakness. They see things that you might not. So listen to them, and listen well. And he did. I'll consider letting a small number of humans go. Exactly. But how do you do that and not raise suspicion? Well, very easily. You just say all according to Keikaku and everybody believes you. As was proven at the end of this episode. Okay, we're only just past halfway and it's been over an hour of the video. That's gonna be long. This dude looks like he's straight out of One Piece, and his voice kinda odd choice, but it's oddly fitting. It's oddly fitting voice. Like you would not expect this man to make this kind of a voice, and yet it kinda fits. Very weird. Yeah, just villagers raised from the dead. Zombies. And here we see. Here's an example of how can you very easily tell those are zombies. Those are zombies. Those are CG. The amount of detail. If they were drawn, they wouldn't be anywhere near this amount of detail. On some of them, you see like clavicles, you see like tiny little scars, you see very detailed lighting. That's surefire way to tell it's CG, and it's something that, for some reason, CG artists cannot quite handle. I mean, all that's needed really is just a texture swap or a shader swap to eliminate like 70% of the details in this shot, and it would look perfectly 2D. And yet they choose to keep those details. Kind of odd, but whatever. Situation matches what the survivors have described. Indeed. Special undead creatures who massacred 200,000 soldiers on the Cat's Plains. Those weren't the Death Knights. The Death Knights didn't even take part in the massacre on Cat's Plains. It was just a spell. Or did... No, they didn't. Death Knights just stood guard. They were just an honor guard, and that was their entire purpose. It was all the spell that summoned Shab Niggurath and her children. They're not upset about the fact that they think only 2 of their undead soldiers can wipe out the city. Yeah, I'd love to surrender, but it's impossible. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. We've seen that, we've heard at least, that some of the nobles defected. So you might choose to defect. Why not? Wave the white flag, worth a shot, I'd say. Although, if you do wave the white flag, and they don't accept your surrender, the morale will be in the gutters. So that's a tough choice. That's a big risk to take. If you surrender and they accept, great. If you surrender and they don't accept, the people who are in the city and want to protect it will just hang you before the enemy army gets here. So that's a gamble. Big gamble that he doesn't want to take. Why don't you escape? Do you think escape is possible? Probably not. Very nice assortment of adventurers. Everybody's unique. There aren't like copy-pasted people in the crowd, which is cool. Which is more than I've come to expect from Overlord after the previous 3 seasons. Season 4 really did bump up the quality. Yeah, look at all those different D&D party members. There's someone from like Naruto with the headband. There's a couple of priests, a wizard, barbarian, or a knight. Nice assortment. Special rewards, magic items. I guess the nun likes magic items. And she also likes shotas. Which is a joke that kind of overstayed its welcome a little, if I'm to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I get it. She's a shotakon. I get it. You don't have to continue rubbing in the joke for this long. But they did, and whatever. Doesn't matter ultimately. And here come the zombies. See, this time around, they're nice and low detailed. Except the hood on this one is very highly detailed. But they quickly get obscured by others, so the detail just kinda disappears in the background, so you don't see that. Undead with the shield, we know it's a Death Knight. Undead, the dual-wielding undead. Death Rogue, Death Berserker, something along those lines, probably. What are they asking? Power level? Does anyone know how strong they are? Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. I don't want her to die. I like her. I want her to join Nazarick. Probably not gonna happen. I mean, she's gonna fight the Death Knight, and as we see later, Albedo arrives and the rest of the cavalry. So she's probably gonna end up dying, but on the off chance she doesn't, that'd be cool. I would really appreciate, like, for once, not killing an adventurer party. Have them join the adventure party in Irantel. Right? I mean, you created that adventurers guild for a reason. So let them join. Let them defect to your country. That's what I would do if I was Ainz, but I'm not Ainz, and Ainz isn't me, so anything can happen, really. That was a nice head turn. a lot of frames on it. I mean, it's still animated on twos, except this slide that's on ones, but it's a nice head turn. All I wanted to say. Archers. Off sync. Big, huge thumbs up for them being off sync. Both the Goblin Army and those CG Soldier goons in previous seasons had the big issue of being perfectly synchronized. All of them had the exact same animation playing at the exact same rate at the exact same time, and that simply doesn't work. There's no way you can get a volley of archers perfectly in sync. There's no way you can get an army marching perfectly in sync. Someone's always gonna bob their head just a little bit more. Someone's gonna swing their arms just a little bit less. Someone's gonna be a little taller, someone's gonna be a little shorter, and their stride will change with that. Their gait will change with that. Now, all those soldiers are clones. There's absolutely no difference in height or body shape or whatever between them, but the offset to the animation, and I think some of those animations are ever so slightly different as well. Thumbs up! Do that more. If you're gonna use CG, at least make sure it's as good of a CG as you can get. And even here, they're not standing in the same poses. Yeah, the poses are duplicated. Sure, they are duplicated, but they are mixed up a little at least. They're not in perfect lines. Yeah, you're handling your CG clones well for once. The zombies, there is aliasing on the zombies. There's aliasing on the zombies. The render didn't do a great job. Yeah, everything is aliased, whatever. They didn't apply anti-aliasing, or they used some shitty renderer. Should have used like Blender Cycles or something, or maybe should have done it in Unreal Engine or Unity or whatever that have super sampling and anti-aliasing and stuff like that. See, that's one of the things with CG and anime as well. They always seem CG in those games. Also, I think I see the end of the pants on the forefront. Zombie is textured only one-sided. We see some backface culling occurring, which isn't great, honestly. But yeah, continuing my thought, CG in anime always looks like it was made and rendered in some garbage software made in 1996 that was added to a like a free download, free freemium version to like PC Mag, back when you could buy like magazines with discs with software on them, and it's a trial version, so it doesn't have anti-aliasing. I don't know why. We have some amazing capabilities nowadays. Splendid, like genuinely amazing. I'm gonna show you an example because why the fuck not? Might as well. Just gotta log into ArtStation. There's an artist that creates CG art that looks lifelike. That looks genuinely lifelike. And, well, no, not lifelike. That looks 2D. If you just see a still, it looks 2D. And yet, somehow, we're still having issues. For some reason. Well, not we. Anime studios are having issues creating actually good CG, even though we have Blender, we have Unreal Engine that's free to use for purposes like that. It's not free to use for like games, but it's free to use for well, it's free to use to a point, but it's completely free to use if you want to make an animation in Unreal Engine. Completely, 100% free. You don't have to pay a dime. There we go. Display capture. This artist, Skung work, or however you pronounce it. Could you tell this is CG? No, it's just a still shot. Think again. Think again. At any angle, well, not any angle, but at most angles, it looks 2D. The shading is just perfect, isn't it? And yet we're having issues. Yet we're having issues for some reason, right? Like compare that to this. Rant about CG over. Because ultimately, comparing to previous seasons, this is not bad at all. Magic casters, yeah, Fireball. I really do love this moment. First of all, very cool impact frame. Second of all, those zombies lit so sharply from behind and obstructed mostly by black in front. I could not tell you this is CG. That's how you should use it. Use CG and then obstruct it as much as you can. But yeah, this is such a hype moment, right? The explosion, it's huge. You're thinking, wow, there's someone with this much power? Could they rival Ainz? Probably not, but could they? Even a fraction of his power? The explosion, the shockwave, the camera shake, the like swirls of blue, of some electricity or whatever the fuck that is. The grainy image, all the zombies burning. The Death Knight marches on. All hope is gone. All hope is gone. You used such a strong spell. You used what you thought is a nuke. The Death Knight marches on. Another fireball. No effect. The Death Knight marches on. And then you see her saying, are they the Sorcerer Kingdom's trump cards? No. Ainz just likes them because they look cool. And they're cheap to summon. So he just uses them as something that's like moderately strong and kind of cheap to summon, so it's whatever if they die, as a way to like gouge out the strength of the enemy. If they can defeat a Death Knight, well, time to get just a little bit more serious, right? They're not a trump card. You don't want to see the trump card. You don't want to meet the trump card. Should we run? No, probably not. I wonder why did she say what she said here. That will be impossible with that thing around. What makes you think that this creature might prevent you from running? It doesn't look particularly agile. It doesn't look like it would have like a teleport spell. What makes you think that? I'm assuming it was expanded upon in the light novel, but from my perspective, what makes you think that? We'll distract the one with the shield. And yeah, everybody buffs the knight, and the knight gets to deal some damage. Except not really. I love her spell. Not sure if it's a spell or a talent, or a like battle art, combat art. But it's cool. It's cool that she has one axe and the other axe that follows, but with a delay. And both of them attack. That's genuine asset. That's like has to be an enormous asset in battle. I hope it's either a talent or a combat art, because that increases her survivability dramatically. Because Ainz is a collector, and she's a rare specimen. Yeah, not when light works. The goop works, sure, but yeah, you didn't predict the fact that he can just tear out piece of the pavement. Because, of course he can, because he's a motherfucking Death Knight. And the gun. Okay, and the dude just casually levitating. I just thought I'm gonna point that out. We haven't seen many people use levitation. We haven't seen many people use levitation, now that I mention it. Guardians, sure, but they are guardians, so of course they can levitate. But as far as characters from the New World go, Evil Eye? Evil Eye levitates. I don't think I've seen anybody else do that. I wanted to say Lacus, but I don't think I've ever seen Lacus levitate. Could it be another rare specimen? Hmm? No, not even from like season one, Zuranon or whatever the Baldy's name was. He couldn't levitate. Clementina couldn't levitate. And this motherfucker just casually hangs in the air. Guess that can't be helped. Apparently you have a sniper with you. And apparently it's a very strong sniper. Because all it takes is one headshot and the Death Knight is gone. It's a Gundam. Like, there's no hiding that fact. It's a Gundam. Also, the legs don't look like they can actually fit human legs. Unless, like, the driver's feet are where the knees of the Gundam are, then maybe. If it's like an oversized piece of armor, then sure. Yeah, that's not gonna work apparently. And it's full auto. This is animated on once. So, of course, sure, it adds fluidity, but also exposes this scene and this Death Knight as being CG. See how unnaturally fast it is? This is also animated on once. Although it's mostly just a muzzle flash, so whatever. Yeah, it's just a Gundam. Adamantite Adventurer from the Vermilion Drop. We haven't heard of Vermilion Drop, have we? But apparently he's an adventurer, or she's an adventurer. Or it's an adventurer. The Death Warrior. I've been wondering what the name of that other dude was. Here it is, mentioned, in plain sight, Death Warrior. Stop typing that comment. I now know what the name of the other one was. Death Warrior. Destroyed so easily? All according to Keikaku. And this super cat of everybody being super surprised. And then Mare is like, yay! High time we end this episode, isn't it? That was episode 9 of Overlord Season 4. And what can I say about it, really? A Gundam. A motherfucking Gundam out of nowhere. Like, I've seen this Gundam in the opening, but I didn't quite expect it to appear this way. To just appear out of nowhere. I expected there to be, I don't know, something surrounding its appearance. Maybe, I don't know, people of the Riestes kingdom or whatever are headed towards some ancient crypt where a something that can help you in trying times lies. There's a myth that you can only unseal the script when your kingdom is about to fall because you cannot reseal it. Whatever you unleash will remain in this world. And it turns out inside there is a Gundam that they somehow managed to activate and it helps them, or something like that. But no, it's out of nowhere. Now, I'm assuming, again, there's some backstory to that Gundam in the light novel, in the source material. We might see that backstory in the next episode. I hope we see a little bit of that backstory, a little bit more of that Gundam in the next episode. So don't tell me like the details about it. Another way it can go is the Gundam being kind of a persistent antagonist to our characters. Whenever Nazarick is trying to destroy some village, haha, Gundam hero appears and completely wipes out all the zombies and all the Death Knights. That could be something. It could really actually be part of Ainz's plans. Maybe that Gundam, maybe Ainz just gifted that Gundam to some adventurer and said, hey, yo, I actually don't want to kill all those people, so if you could, like, repel my Death Knights, I'm not gonna send a force that's particularly strong, you're gonna manage. That might be the case. I don't know, I'm not sure. I have no idea what the deal with the Gundam is. Especially since, again, as I mentioned, we haven't seen any nation get anywhere close to this level of technology. So it has to be either an ancient relic left behind by the heavenly heroes from 200 years ago, or it has to be one of the nations that we haven't met yet that actually figured out how to make Gundams. And maybe one of the adventurers actually got their hands on one such a Gundam. Maybe it's Dark Dwarves, maybe it's Elves, maybe it's someone else, but someone was able to make a Gundam. I don't think that's the case. My bet is on an ancient relic, but we'll see. One more surprise in this episode. After all this talking that Ainz did about it not being fun to rule over that kingdom, about to rule over like destroyed lands and dead people and whatnot, he's just gonna massacre people. He's just gonna. I mean, he's going for the like outer rim of towns and villages around the Riestis kingdom. He's not wiping out the entire country. Although I'm not sure if he's actually not wiping out the entire country, he very well might. I hope not. I genuinely hope not, because it would really go against what Ainz has been saying all this time. I genuinely hope that he finds some way to let the country survive, more or less, and most of its population to survive. I mean, he promised Nigredo and Pestonia as much, so I'm assuming he's gonna keep his promise and let at least some of those people live. I don't know. I don't know. The massacre and completely wiping out all those towns and villages doesn't sit well with me. Not like from a moral standpoint, because of course killing innocents doesn't sit well with me, right? But I understand from the perspective of Nazarick. They're evil. Ainz doesn't have any feelings towards humans, yada yada yada. But from like the perspective of what we heard about Ainz, of what we know about Ainz, he's not one to just mindlessly massacre. He's one to grant swift death. He's one to spare graciously, to spare people. And it's been established many times in this season alone, right? When it was time to punish Hilma, Ainz found a way to essentially not punish her. When it was time to spare Lizardmen, he spared the Lizardmen because they pledged their allegiance. He spared all the nobles that decided to defect, right? And again, he mentioned time and again that it's no fun to rule over a destroyed country. Probably there was more context in the source material again, but I can only talk about what I've seen in the episode. Is there anything else that needs mentioning? I wonder what's gonna happen to Riesti's kingdom. it's been taking like the shit end of the stick every time. Like the massacre on Cat's Plains wasn't long ago, and they're in another war with the same enemy because of some random noble that decided to rob the carriage. That has to feel bad, doesn't it? I really wonder where is Riestes headed. Is Zana gonna take the throne? Probably sooner or later, if there is Riestes' kingdom to speak of. Will Zanak be dethroned and the rule will be taken over by Renner? I don't think so. Renner doesn't want to rule. She doesn't want to be the queen. She just wants to be a princess and have Climb as her pet. That's literally all she wants. She wants Zanak to rule because Zanak likes her. Well, likes her. Zanak wants to appease her, and their goals and their thought process are aligned. So that's why. Um, what's gonna happen with the king? What's gonna happen with Brain? I hope Brain doesn't die. Not just because I like him as a character, but also because it would be like duplicating what happened to Stroganov, right? The strongest warrior in the country died pointlessly with the same sword against the same enemy. Not great. Although, from what we've seen, Brain is gonna fight against Cocytus, so not the same enemy, I guess. Cocytus knows how to recognize a worthy opponent, a worthy warrior, though, so I'm hoping that Cocytus is gonna recommend Brain to join Nazarick, the way Shasuryu and Zaryusu and the others also joined Nazarick, because Cocytus saw great warriors in them. Anything else? Oh, there was so much that happened in this episode. Uh, but no, I think I covered everything. I said everything during the reaction, I said everything during the discussion segment, and now in the closing thoughts, I think I have closed my thoughts sufficiently. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it from me for today. You guys, now it's your turn to tell me all about it in the comments. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories? No spoilers. You've been very good about not spoiling me anything, so please keep up the good work. No spoilers. Like this video if you liked it, disliked it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. If you want to talk spoilers, Discord here, Discord in the description, Overlord channel, you can talk spoilers there if you use spoiler tags. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified of future releases of not only Overlord, but also Madoka Magica, Symphogear GX, Yovka no Uta, Hataraku Mausama Season 2, Ruby Ice Queendom, and I also play some games sometimes, so might wanna click the bell to be notified of that. If you wanna support the channel, you can do that in plethora of ways. You can do that monetarily on Patreon or Throne. Links in the description. On Patreon for $10 a month, you get early access to non-seasonals like Symphogear, like Madoka Magica. For $1, you get a role on the Discord, and you also get place in the credits, and there are also other tiers to pick from. On Throne, you can pitch in towards my purchase of a new camera, better lighting, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you can still help the channel a lot by sharing my content, spreading the word, using the word of mouth to promote my stuff, because it really does help a lot the natural growth of a channel, because YouTube starts noticing that and also rewards the channel with some other other clicks directed towards it. That's it. That's it. So as always, that's gonna be it from me for today. And as always, do all the good stuff. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Cheers. And here's the credits I mentioned. You can be one of those people if such is your desire, if only you so want.